the South Island Formula 1600s aren't too far away. We've already had a chat to Jake Noble-Adams. Mike Lightfoot joins me right now. You have a sort of history with the small open wheelers, don't you?
I do, Stephen. Actually, I'm very passionate about this class, and many years ago I actually imported a car out of Perth from Brett Lupton, which was a long wheelbase, and we run Michael Burdett in that car. That went on to run Mitch Evans, and it's still around here today. But the thing that I'm enjoying about this class is, you know, Kenny Smith has put so much into this over the years, and the other thing is that Phil and Kenny are now getting together and they're really trying to rejuvenate this series throughout New Zealand. It's very strong on the South Island. We've got to get it back into the North Island. It's got to become a strong series again.
Yeah, it's that training ground for young open wheelers. And I know we have here about a field of about 31 we've had over the weekend. Even Andy McElroy, who runs that Porsche program, and his son Hunter's spannering for him, but Andy ain't doing that so well. All right, they're starting to get up. Let's meet one of the special ones. This could be a kid to keep an eye on in the future.
Yeah, we made the trip down to Highlands for this weekend. Yeah, long trip from Pukekohe, but yeah, it was definitely worth it. Doing the South Island Formula Ford is a great way to sort of race new competitors. You know, first time racing Andy McElroy, Tim Miles, and Kenny Smith. So you know, some legends down here. So yeah, it was definitely worth it. Bit of testing before Teretonga next weekend. It was a great opportunity to sort of get to know the tracks, and yeah, last week we were testing at Teretonga, so it's just a great opportunity to sort of get down here, acclimatise, and yeah, be all on next weekend. The step from Formula First to Formula Ford, honestly, it was quite smooth for me. You know, that class set me up quite well, and yeah, the biggest thing really is just that data and that speed that comes with the Formula Ford. So always improving, but yeah, looking forward for the future. The trip to Australia was sort of really exciting news for me. I got a call actually from Sean Seamer, the CEO of Supercars, at the end of my exam, just saying, get you over here. You know, we'll sort something out. It was just really cool. Honestly, I just met some great people in that trip. You know, Paul Morris, Brock Feeney, who was another great driver coach, Super 3 champion. You know, there was just these great people, and it was a great way to sort of get my presence out there over Australia. Yeah, I think the racing at Teretonga is going to be a lot closer than what it is here. That drafting element definitely comes in. There's only 4 braking zones as well, so even though it's such a short circuit, every corner is crucial.
South Island Formula 1600, Jonathan Green and Hunter McElroy giving you the action from Highlands Park. And yes, Billy Fraser, just 17 years of age, and I'm sure it reminds you of when you kicked off. This is how you started.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. It's really funny seeing. I was actually speaking to him before, and it didn't seem that long ago that I literally was racing this exact championship, and like the things that I'm doing now seemed a whole world away. And I was just kind of explaining to him that it comes around quick, because it felt like yesterday, like I said, that I was driving here, or not at this track, but in this championship. So cool to see him kicking goals, and it'd be great to see him move on.
Well, we've got 2 seconds because they're warming their tyres up on their formation lap. Let's talk a little bit about what you've been up to. Racing in America at the moment, Hunter McElroy on the road to Indy, quite literally, just missing out on the championship in F2000 and going on now to the Pro 2000, right?
Yeah, hopefully it's looking positive. I think we're probably 75% of the way there. Just need to kind of finalize a few things, but testing's been going really well, and really like the car. So I think it'll be a positive result if we can put it together, and I'm really looking forward to getting back on track.
Well, not only is Hunter a good guy to have because he's a good racer, but his dad's racing in this race. Andy McElroy, a former champion, of course, of Formula 1600s, is out there, and we're looking forward to seeing him and Tim Miles, you mentioned, and a few others out there. Kenny Smith is out there as well. Some great stories to be had. But let's talk about some of the classes, because we've got different kinds of cars, older cars, new cars, different makes, Magals, Van Diemen's, you name it.
Yeah, so that's a great thing as well. There's the Class 1 cars, which are the modern cars, like the Megales and the Stealths to some extent, and also the Spectrums, but also there's the Class 2 cars, so your 90s Van Diemen's, and then also the Class 3, which is the kind of 80s and earlier than that class. So Tim's in Class 2 in a 92 Van Diemen, and that's kind of one of the most modern Class 3 cars. So it'll be good to see them have a battle. I think they're quite close to each other, so if I could expect anything, it will be some action between those two.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've got former champions like Andy McElrea, who many years ago was competing in Formula Ford, still out there today. You mentioned the Spectrum. It's a modern car. Billy Fraser's at the front in one. What's the difference? How much more do you get out of a modern-day Formula 1600 than you would out of, let's say, a late 80s one?
Well, I think it's just the technology, you know. There's things like data and, so much more, just like I said, technology with the springs in the car and the shocks and the chassis. And oh, it looks like we got a red flag here.
Ah, that's not a good sign. So we have a red flag situation.
Maybe just they do that at the start, or I'm not sure.
Could be. Anyway, they're lining up, but carry on what you were saying. Obviously the springs, more modern, and obviously a little bit more technology.
Right. I think also, to be perfectly honest, I think it'd be half driver, half modern driver, half modern car.
Right.
It's compared to old driver and old car, so probably even, I'd say.
Now it is a green flag now, so okay, we're okay to go for the start of the big race for Formula 1600. Away they go. Billy Fraser gets a little bit of a wiggle off the line, but they're cleanly through, and it's a neck-and-neck race to the first corner. And it's the number 75 up against Billy Fraser, but just gets a little bit of oversteer as he bounces over the curbs. But Billy Fraser does take the lead in the Spectrum and into the Southern Loop for the first time. A little hold up before the start there, a little bit of a pause, but we're away now. And a beautiful day here at Cromwell to see these Formula 1600s from the South Island doing their business. And as we heard earlier, Mike Lightfoot's telling us that they're really having a bit of a renaissance here in the South Island, hoping to go to the North Island and really get this championship back to where it was. But when you look at the size of this field, it's pretty healthy.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the competition's great, and funnily enough, it's actually good to see that the front runner here was able to get off the line good, Last time he struggled a little bit getting off the line, but Billy's really been able to actually get the jump, and I'd say it's probably going to make his race a little bit easier.
Well, it's usual suspects at the front. Jack Noble Adams was the man in the 75 who was very close to taking the lead there. A little bit of a lock-up from one of them there. Bailey Patterson having a good weekend. He too up there with them. Dyson Freeman in 4th position. Cameron Freeman, who was leading the championship coming into this round, is up there too, and so too Zach Christensen, who's also in the hunt for the 2020 overall tally. They've got 2 more rounds to go. After this, we head down to Terratonga, and of course Levels is the final round of this year's championship.
Well, it looks like Noble Adams is actually hanging with Billy here, which I wouldn't say surprised, but he's the first guy all weekend that's been able to do this. So clearly he's been able to stay in the draft, and it'll be good to see if he can make a challenge here. Well,
and surprisingly, they look at the gap they've already formed in just one lap. A really, really good first lap there. And we'll see Billy Fraser, 1:49.3. And when you consider that those chasing are nowhere near the 49 mark, that's a sterling first lap by him. And it's great to see Adams going with him for sure. And they go through and out of the loop. And yeah, you've got a good race on our hands now between these two, but Fraser is really laying down some sector times now in the 1:14.
Well, he's been the benchmark all weekend, I think every race that I've watched. Oh, and we've got 47 in the wall. That's, unfortunately, that's where you want to be.
No, it isn't at all. That's Ryan Lowe, who is probably feeling just that way right now. And it's brought out a yellow flag for now. It could lead potentially to something more, but we'll find out. But definitely drama already, and back to the lead as we go. And here is the gap between first, second, very close, and here is the safety car, the brand new Supra. What do you think of that?
It's a good looking car. I mean, it's been a while since Toyota have released a kind of high performance vehicle like that, so cool to see them do that, and not the worst looking car I've seen.
Now, before you were born, the Supra was the big deal growing up for me, and I know for many other fans, and now to have a new one is great. Here's a look at what happened, and he just went on at the bus stop, got out of shape and couldn't get it back in shape, and as you can see, just a little tap, little love tap to the wall, but it's enough to break the suspension, and yeah, out of proceedings. What a shame.
Yeah, it looks like he just missed the first apex there at the bus stop, and then once you get offline, particularly with these TRS cars and the rubber they're leaving offline, it's very, very slippery. So he's clearly just got out on the marbles, and unfortunately made some contact.
He's okay because he's had the sense to take his helmet off before he gets in and bangs his head, because that's what I would have done. I'd have been either frustrated or not being able to continue. Look at that fella, number 97. Did you have a good team talk after practice?
Well,
after the second race.
We did, but I don't know if you can see, but he's actually had a big sponsorship rise and since race 2, I think, after that performance.
A new sponsor?
Yeah, Speed City Broadcast. I don't know if you've heard of it. But
I have actually, yes, broadcasting across America. That's a good, so okay, so that's good, big investment.
Yeah, I think it's really made him raise his game here, I think.
Well,
so
all eyes on him then. What did he say about his gravel track?
Well, you're not going to believe this, and he's probably going to kill me for saying it, but he told me in his words that he got confused where he was on the track, and he thought he was going into turn 10 at the ridge, but unfortunately he was at turn 3, so carried a little bit too much entry speed, but luckily for him, he was able to keep going.
Oh, Andy, you brought him up too well. He's way too honest. I love it. But there he is. And, yep. What's Kilkelly Cars?
So that was his naming rights sponsor in 1991.
Oh, yeah, see a new sponsor on the front there. Nice
yeah,
work.
See that Speed City?
I like it. I like it.
I heard they got a lot of money.
Ah, well, we'll see. Maybe they can back you.
There we go.
So Andy McElrea, one of the big stars here. Now, let's look about the day job. This man is a very important man in Australian motor racing. Tell me what he's about to do at Bathurst.
Well, we've got 2 really important people. There's Dad and there's Tim. So Dad obviously has his Porsche team, and Tim owns quite a large sharehold in Triple Eight Racing as well as his own racing endeavours. So 2 guys having a bunch of fun. I would say they don't take it seriously, and it's fun, which it is for them. But I think they obviously once the helmet goes on, that all goes out the window. So it's quite funny that they're actually right next to each other, because I'm going to say Tim's going to try something here, so could be good.
Well, he's had a bit of a rough weekend, as your dad, for sure, because he started at the back for the first one, made it all the way through, what, to 16th, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
And now he's, what, 8th?
Yeah, so I don't know if you got a tow of one of the old cars or what, but so in South Island Formula 4, your grid position is your lap time. So he struggled with pace a little bit at the start, but managed to pull out a bit of a blinder in the old Class 3 car and starting 8th. So looks like he's having a good run here.
And like I said, yep, probably took a shortcut.
I think he did take a shortcut, actually.
But I tell you what, in all seriousness, you're very lucky to have grown up in a family like this. Obviously, very, very steeped in history of racing. And like I said, he's running some pretty good pedalers at Bathurst, including Scott McLaughlin, right?
Yeah, so he's run Scott at the 12 Hour a few years ago, I think, in the McLaren. So this year, I think he's in a partnership with Earl Bamber.
Oh, okay. Who's got his own team?
Yeah, so in partnership with Earl Bamber, running CJ, a guy called CJ from America, who's done it the last couple of years. Really good am, as we see a car on the tow hook looking not so happy.
Yep.
But yeah, he's done a fair bit as a driver, but also as a team owner.
There's Mark Dorrington, the number 85. He's a former TRS. I was looking over the history books. He was in the 2nd ever TRS championship, finished 5th overall, and had a nice look at that car, and he's enjoying his time there. Hope you're enjoying your time at Highlands Motorsport Park. Great crowd on hand here, enjoying the sunshine of Cromwell. It's a busy weekend down here for sure. We've got the historic cars in action. They were going around the track and doing some concourse elegance around the Cromwell area over the weekend. We've got Billy Idol and George Thorogood in concert. It's all happening down here, and we've got some pretty good old rockers out there this afternoon too. Here's another look at that crash, and yeah, just lost it. You can't do much at this point. You're a passenger.
Yeah, he's a passenger, mate, and unfortunately, you know, it just takes something really small like that, like a little mistake. But like I said at the start of this weekend, this track is a really fast-flowing track with no room for error. Unfortunately, a little error has cost him a lot.
And it's not just the drivers that have got some history. Listen, how about this for a story? Kenny Smith's car was Tony Quinn's first ever Formula Ford car, and Tony Quinn raced it around Knock Hill and all around the local club scene around there, but then came up against an alien in his mind, a certain Eddie Cheever, and said, I haven't quite got what this fella's got. I think I'll give it up and go into the pet food world, and I'll come back to this later. And that's exactly what he's done. So he got a bit of a pasting, I think, and decided that motor racing wasn't going to be his finest hour. So he's doing pretty good though nowadays. These days, he's no dinosaur, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Tony's obviously put in an immense amount into New Zealand motorsport in particular, and I think this track obviously is something that's like no other in this country, and like I said, the amount that he's putting into other tracks such as Hampton Downs, which has just been announced as a new supercars race, is pretty incredible.
I just love a man who chases his dream and chases his passion and then puts it back and lets everybody share that passion, because while he enjoys his time out here and all the fun he's done and all the creation he's got, look at that thing. You know, he's enjoying it, but so are we, and so is everybody involved in motorsport. And as you say, he's not just doing a fun thing down here, he's also involved in Hampton Downs. They're going to get the supercars. That's going to be a huge event for them. And so, yeah, I mean, Tony Quinn, hats off for what he's achieved. It's really quite impressive.
Yeah, looks like we're going to go green this time by, I think. I don't know if it's going to be a one-lap dash or two, but I would say there's not going to be much left in this race. So.
Well, this is going to be the hardest race for Billy Fraser to defend, because it's going to be a really close nip-and-tuck start. Jack Noble-Adams will come at him, all guns firing, I'm sure. Oscar Noble-Adams, Noel Attlee getting a restart, but it's all eyes on Fraser. Noble-Adams, Bailey Patterson in third.
So Noble-Adams had a big moment there at turn 2. So I think, yeah, Billy's got a bit of a gap here. So it says 3 to go. So he's got time to catch up to him again, but actually looks like there's a nice little battle pack forming from 2nd to 4th here.
Yeah, I'm going to say, this is a really good battle. Look at this now. Looking for the overtake. Here we go.
Around the outside.
Nicely done. Dyson Freeman. Oh, I thought he pulled that off, and he didn't quite.
It was looking pretty promising, to be honest, but didn't quite get the right positioning for their next right-hander, but hey, had a good try.
Oh, locking up. Watching in the grandstands today, another great Dick Bennett is here. Delighted to have him on board, and of course he is all too familiar with the rough and tumble of single-seaters, having been one of the most successful team managers over the years in both single-seaters and in tin tops. And another lock-up this time for the number 80. And
Bailey Patterson, I think.
Yeah, and Bailey just getting out of shape, but all holding it together now. But we're getting into the nitty-gritty.
It's good to see Bailey having a go. I mean, he's been there or thereabouts every race. He's been mixing up the front, but he's just quite missed that kind of last couple of tenths. But he's having a look here.
Ooh, not
quite. But he's having a go, and it's good to see him, you know, obviously he probably doesn't want to be locking fronts, but it's good to see him pushing his car to the limit, as again, he kind of snags those fronts coming into the last hairpin.
Just watching these cars, you get the feeling, and you tell me, that they're forgiving in that they're giving you plenty of notice when they're not happy. And what I mean by that is some of the modern cars, certainly the TRS, when they go quickly, and you don't have a lot of time to react.
Well, 100%. I think the great part about Formula Ford is that it teaches you to drive them fast on the slip angle. Whereas if you get any sort of slip angle in a car with a lot of aerodynamics, usually you're going to spend quite a long time catching it, or you've got to pit the next lap to change your undies. So.
Now this is going to be a good little battle. Two old friends sat next to each other in the paddock and now on track together.
Well, I called it they'd be having a battle, so it'll be interesting to see if Dad throws something back at him here. I would be surprised if he didn't. He's got a little bit of run here. I don't know about you, mate, but I can smell a bit of danger coming here.
You know your father well. Here we go then. It's Tim Miles and Andy McElrea rolling back the ears and doing it as they always did. Here we go.
Oh no, Tim's.
Oh no, damage!
I don't know what's happened there.
Oh, do you know what? He had a similar problem in the previous race.
I'm not sure if something just gave way there.
Well, it looked like it, didn't it? It looks like the rear suspension just
something dropped in the rear suspensions. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. It's a shame.
He'll be miffed at that, and I think poor old Andy will be miffed because I think he was quite enjoying that little battle.
That's a shame. I mean, I would have liked to see those two have a little bit of a battle, but you know, Tim's been driving great all weekend, mixing it with the.
Now watch this.
Yeah, it just kind of gives away.
Gone.
It gives
already gone.
That's a shame. Like I said, he was driving really good all weekend, mixing it with the modern cars at the front, and not really the way you want it to go, but fortunately happens.
Well, it's a pretty old car, but he's okay. I'm glad to see him out and okay. Oh well, back to the day job.
Yep. Now, like I said, it's awesome to see those two having a crack together, and unfortunately just didn't get to do that last little battle.
As long as they've enjoyed it, that's all that matters. Meanwhile, as they say, back at the front, it's spread out a little bit more now because Billy Fraser's been able to build on that gap. In fact, he just did the fastest lap at 44.834. That's 144.834 to gap now by what? A couple of seconds, and certainly a few car lengths. And so I think if we're going to see a really good close finish. Here is Fraser. I think Jack Noble-Adams is going to have to get a hurry on, but he's just done his fastest lap too, but that's a little bit slower than Billy, so maybe the modern car helping him out a little bit, but the Spectrum on its way now to yet another victory. He's going to have a clean sweep here if nobody else challenges him. Dyson Freeman getting a little bit racy behind number 86.
I feel like Noble-Adams could have had a crack, but he had that little mistake at turn 2 through the bus stop on the first lap, and on cold tyres that just gave Fraser all the gap he needed. And as we hear, Dyson made it. He's made it. I think that's a good move, but he's got to watch for the switchback here as he gets back alongside him.
They're side by side now as they head towards what is another corner that's very tight indeed. It's a flick left and then a flick right and over the bridge, and for now Bailey holding on, but this is a good battle in the closing stages with one to go. And who's going to take it? They're side by side through Indy. There's not a lot of room through there.
You had to have a go, you know, he's got nothing to lose. He's got a good gap behind him, so I would have done the same thing there. Good to see.
Billy Fraser on his way to his third victory here. Jack Noble-Adams will chase him home, but it's all about the youngster, the 17-year-old from Pukekohe. And there's the checkered flag yet again for Billy Fraser. We're hoping to see him in the Toyota Racing Series next year. But that's another great performance despite the safety car. He was able to do the restart and get away. That was my fear for him, that he wouldn't be able to pull away. But Jack Noble-Adams takes second place. Bailey Patterson holds on to third. Dyson Freeman is fourth. Cameron Freeman is in fifth place. And that's been another cracking race. Zach Christensen rounds out the top 6. Tony Graham in 7th. Dominic Robertson in 8th. And there you go, confirmation of the result. What do you reckon, Billy Fraser? Has he got this?
Yeah, he's a good kid. You know, it's good to see someone having a crack, and like I said, it doesn't seem that long ago that I was pretty much in his exact position, wondering what I was going to do. Well, I always knew that I wanted to go IndyCar, but wondering how I was going to get there, I guess. So I think he's got obviously some talent, and it'll be good to see him continue on.
When are we going to see you fighting Scott Dixon?
Well, it's going to be when I get some money out of Speed City, I think.
Oh, I'm going to rue that one, aren't I? Okay.
No. It's, no, like I said.
Here are the highlights then of the race and the Formula 1600s from the South Island, getting away. Billy Fraser going wheel to wheel with Jack Noble-Adams, and all in the mix, the usual suspects, so to speak, and certainly of the weekend. And even though we had a car go off at the bus stop and a restart, Fraser was able to get away. This is the moment that we got into trouble, and a broken suspension there. And obviously the driver okay in that incident, but when we went green again, that's when I feared for Billy, because that's when you're most precarious, because everybody's gunning for you, and there were some good battles. Some ended in tears, but Bailey Patterson held on, almost getting through for second place, but didn't. And we thought there was going to be a good McElrea battle with Miles, but sadly he ran out of road and ran out of suspension, did Tim Miles. And Fraser in the career racing Spectrum Formula 1600 South Island Championship takes the checkered flag in style, and another good victory for him. Well done to our top man, Billy Fraser.
So Billy Fraser makes it 3 from 3 in the South Island Formula 1600. Look, he's already got the belts off ready for the chat. How good is he? He decides to go the other side. That's okay, Billy. Perfect again, pal. Perfect again, which we love to see. You've got this career racing Spectrum dialed in just beautifully. But I suppose most importantly, with the national round next weekend, how much have you learned this weekend to take into a much tighter track next weekend?
Yeah, I think that last race was definitely the highlight for me of the weekend. You know, going 3 from 3, that's definitely a plus. Yeah, they were getting closer, so I think that pressure was a good way to lead into next weekend.
You know the difference of this weekend was? That was your best start, right?
Yeah, that was the best thing, you know, leading into turn 1. You know, I was confident, started 3rd in the first race, 2nd in the second race, and 1st in the first race. So, yeah, made that sort of the gain over the weekend, which is the best feeling.
Biggest learning point this weekend ahead of the national run next weekend at Teretonga?
Well, I think this weekend we sort of went over all the race routine that you just can't get with testing. You know, a safety car restart, warm formation laps, getting the tyres warm, you know, that kind of stuff practice can't buy.
All right, we'll see you in Teretonga, buddy.
Great, thanks, Steve.
Jack Noble-Adams, mate, second place, first South Island at home. You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. It's always nice to come back home, but you got to remember who you're racing against. He's a national championship driver, might be a wee bit above us, and the points, it's Bailey and Cameron who I'm worried about.
So you're heading to Teretonga next weekend. You're going to do the National Series, but in the South Island Series.
Yes, so we'll be heading to Teretonga next weekend, racing with the South Island class. My goal is to beat the national championship boys in qualifying. Hopefully that can happen. Last time we were there, I was up with James Penrose. Actually managed to beat him over the weekend, and he's the current national championship leader. So we'll see how it goes.
Great weekend, mate. Congratulations.
You know, Jack was pretty lucky. He's had Dyson Freeman right behind me. Bailey Patterson, excuse me, my apologies. Bad, long day, Bailey. What happened at the end there?
The restart, the red light came on for the car overheating. So I thought I could get Jack, but the car just got too hot, so I had to back off a bit. And obviously I had the pressure behind me from Dyson, so yeah, it was good though.
But you held him off because coming over that bridge, he was all over your backside.
Yeah, he was right there the whole time, so that was the pressure. But the car held on, everything held on. So next weekend we'll be back.
How would you rate your weekend ahead of Teretonga?
Ahead of Teretonga, I think we've got a lot to do with the car and maybe myself a bit, but we're looking good.
Made a podium, make the most of it.
Yeah, cheers, thank you.
Here you go, Bailey Patterson third in the South Island Formula 1600s, but Billy the Kid, Billy Fraser, 3 from 3, and he heads to Teretonga where it's a national run, and that will be live on Sky Sport as part of the BP Ultimate Motorsport Championship.